Hey, what's good, y'all? This is Major from Infamous Tech Blog, and I know some of you may be wondering, new intro. This is still part of the Hood Hype family, but just went ahead and went in a different direction. Wanted to do an all tech related website because I am a gadget obsessed person, but it's all still part of the same thing, but just doing things a little different. And to kick things off for Infamous Tech Blog, you're looking at the HTC Imagio, which is available on Verizon Wireless. This is another Windows Mobile smartphone. I had to give Windows another try. I tried out the Samsung Omnia 2. If you caught that review over on Hood Hype Tech, you know that I wasn't too crazy about it. But the Imagio, I gotta be honest with you, I actually like it a lot better. It's a much quicker, much smoother device. And a lot easier to use. So let's go ahead and get into it and take a look at the hardware. First thing you notice, it's a lot like the other HTC devices that are out with the rounded edges. The real thin, real nice display. This phone does not have a slide out, so it's all virtual keyboard, but it all comes together nicely. Here across the bottom, you've got your talk button, you've got your media button, which would launch VCast mobile TV. You've got your Windows launch button, your back button, and your end button. Down here across the bottom, you've got your 3.5mm headphone jack, your USB charging port, and then over here, you've got your volume rocker. And that's really it button-wise on this phone. They did not waste or include, a bunch of excess buttons. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back of the phone. Here, you see pretty much HTC standard, rubberized material. Then you've got a hard plastic, which kind of gives it a two-tone black finish, your HTC and Verizon branding. And then here you've got your kickstand, which will kick out if you're watching, the mobile TV. And the mobile TV does work well. I'll show it to you briefly, even though I don't have service here in this area, but I have used it in other locations, and it's a real cool feature. I believe you get like 15 channels, that you can browse through. So that's real something real cool. And right now it's the only phone that's mobile TV enabled over on Verizon. Here you've got your 5-megapixel camera. This does do video recording as well at 640 by 480. So pretty good, multimedia features on this phone. Let's go ahead and take a look at the software. And I mentioned this is Windows Mobile 6.5, but the big difference here is HTC's TouchFlow interface, which you see down here across the bottom. And TouchFlow is a lifesaver. It's very smooth, very responsive, and a lot of that has to do with the display, which, as you can see here, is nice and bright. It's 3.6 inches is what this display is. 480 by 800 for the screen resolution, so nice, bright and bold. I'm gonna pull in the Droid Ares here just for a real quick thickness comparison. I forgot to do that. You see actually pretty close. I think the Imagio's just about a hair thicker, but it's still right around half an inch. So, definitely a thin, sexy, good looking device. Now let's go ahead and move on to the software. I mentioned TouchFlow. Works real well. What it does is it keeps you from having to deal with Windows Mobile, and let's face it, that's definitely a good thing, because once you get into some of those Windows Mobile menus, it gets cramped, and then you find yourself having to use a stylus. But what TouchFlow does is it basically keeps all the key functions that you're going to be using on a regular basis, puts it right here at the touch of your fingertips, and you see it's very fast, super quick. Got your browser, SMS, email, music, your photos, settings, calendar, weather, and you can customize that a little bit. It's not like the Ares where there's panels that you can customize, and this phone doesn't have full widget support, but you do see HTC's weather app, which is standard on their phones. But you can customize some of the icons that will display here across the bottom. So you can't totally pimp it out, but you can do a little bit, and what they do have works well. Let's go ahead and bring up the Windows menu. And this one here you can also customize. I think you get, I believe it's 30 of these spaces, and you can pick, you know, your 30 most frequent apps that you want to have quick access to. And then if you want to get to everything, you would click all applications, and then that'll show you, you know, A to Z what you've got involved, you know, what you've got installed on the phone. So you know, all in all, that works, you know, pretty good. It's easy to get in and out. This being Microsoft, you've got Microsoft Word, of course. Let me bring that up close and let you guys take a look at a Word doc. So if you're a professional, need to edit, you know, or compose documents while you're out on the road, you can do that. Got your Word menu down there across the bottom. This does, of course, Excel and PowerPoint as well. So the full Microsoft Office suite. Let's take you through some of the other basics here, like messaging. This supports threaded SMS. Let's show you guys and you've got your auto word suggest, and that works out real good. And then you got your message sent. So, you know, real good. I mean, I like the way, you know, this works. I'm always, you know, a fan of threaded SMS, you know, over the old school text messaging. Over here for email, let me back out of that. Of course, you got Exchange support. Right now, I've just got a Hotmail account, which you know, can see that there. But it does support multiple, you know, accounts, and as you add them, they would, you know, be stacked up, running down this way. Over here, you've got your music, got your photos and videos, favorites, settings, which you can get into. And here you can, you know, change your wallpaper, you know, get into your sync settings, sound, all those types of things, calendar. And then, of course, you got your weather app, which we saw a little bit earlier. One of the big features that I did talk about was the mobile TV. I'm gonna go ahead and fire that up. And like I said, I don't have the service, but that's what it does look like. And I tell you what, man, when it gets fired up, it's fun to use, because really, I mean, literally, this would, you know, pull in your channel, and you're just swiping through, you know, all your channels. You got like a CBS, NBC, and ABC mobile channels. You got some MTV on here. You see right now Jersey Shore would be on. You got ESPN. It's a real cool feature, man, and the quality on the TV actually comes through, you know, real nice. And I believe it's $15 extra a month, you know, if you wanted to use that service. So, you know, top to bottom, man, pretty good, you know, software package, you know, on this phone. No big complaints there. Just the, you know, lack of customization, and the only other knock would be the Windows Marketplace. If I pull that up, you're gonna see that you know, it's pretty clean looking, but once you get searching around and poking around, man, there's really not a whole lot of selection. And I think some of that's, you know, due to it hasn't been up all that long. So, you know, I guess you got to be patient and give them time. But just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, you know, a lot of phones have a very good free Twitter application. There's TwitDroid for Android. Over on the Palm Pre, there's a program called Twee, which is free and works real well. I could not find a free Twitter app so far in the Windows Marketplace, and that's a little bit disappointing, you know, to have to go ahead and drop, you know, $5 or $6, you know, on a Twitter app. I know it's not a ton of money, but it's cool to have, you know, something free available that, you know, has most of the basic functionality. But give them time, man. I think they'll get it right. Let's go ahead and move on to the multimedia functions.